These photos should not be a surprise to any one of you. I'm sure you recognize every morning. I'm not a big Twitter user, but every morning in main headlines, I do find some or the other Elon Musk news. Today's one is good though. They've actually given the name of the first guy who's going to take the big Falcon rocket and shoot to the moon and come back. But we've all read a lot of Elon Musk news. He's complaining about car business is a tough business after being in the business for 14 years. Yes, it's a tough business, but then what he's going through, very publicly, we believe on Twitter and other mediums, is a classic, a visionary founder type burnout. He's overcommitted to his job. He's, sleeping under the desk. If press reports are to be believed, and it's apparently taking a toll on his health. The question, big one for Tesla investors on the board is, can the company outsurvive Elon? So that's for them to worry about. Our worry today is you and your company. We are going to talk more about, can your company outsurvive you, and how much and how frequently does your company need you, is the topic of today's discussion. So this is a classic startup curve, if you will. Every startup journey involves a very long track, and the trough of despair is a part of this track. This chart is a very well-known chart for most startup people, hopefully to you too. It was made by Paul Graham, who's the founder of IC, and he created this maybe a decade ago or something. But it is a long period of downs, out of which you see no positive or no light at the end of the tunnel. And that's where, you think everything is lost. How is my company going to come out of this? How am I going to come out of this? And then, whether you are a unicorn or whether you're a struggling startup, everybody has gone through this trough of sorrow. Whether that is, the management of Uber or Tesla. Some of them are public, some of them are not, but everybody goes through it.
Yeah. So, there's the initial high where you've just started, you've really sold on your idea, and you get some early hints that everything's great. And then eventually there's, you hear of friends at the coffee shop who just rung the bell on the NYSE because they've gone IPO. And in those two, between those two steps, which are all the highs, there is a long, deep low where most of the times nothing is going on. There's just the daily minutiae of work, the daily challenges, and as Sandeep likes to call it, the checking of your expense claims against the bank accounts sort of work. It's an unending task list, and it tends to drag on. Most of the time, it drags on beyond what a normal human is capable of handling. And then people start to burn out. Of course, being an entrepreneur, you should be ready for the grind. Obviously, you think you're here, but you're likely to be on the left of the curve anyway. For my own AI startup, for example, I've personally done 228 demos in 1 year to prospects, clients, VCs, partners, and anyone who could help. But sales cycles are long, and the end is never around the corner. So every day, I wake up thinking, hey, today's the day, it's going to be big. It's just, going to hit the newspapers today. And it doesn't happen. Another day passes, another 2 demos have happened, and so on. It just goes on forever. And that's the trough of despair. Have either of you experienced some of this sort, Ken?
Yeah, I guess I'm living proof of trials and tribulations of being a startup founder, having done it a couple of times now, and even now with the experience of having one behind me, it took 3 years for me to go from start to getting significant funding into the company, and 3 years is a long time to go eating pizza and ramen.
You eat fancy.
I know. But there are adrenaline shots, good things that happen, and then there's a ton of slog that you just have to get through. Yeah. It's something that you have to prepare yourself for.
Good news. The prepper supply of Soylent is in the garage. Could you talk more about the peaks and valleys? What sort of valleys and peaks have you seen in your business?
Yeah, well, I think if you just look at that curve, right, it hits almost every startup that same way, right? You get some early, hot validation. For us, we had some, large banks and, large corporations show extreme interest in what we're doing. We won a ton of awards right at the beginning, and then we kind of hit this lull, right? We got, senior executives at major banks saying, yes, we love what you're doing. Now go through our 2-year procurement process. So, what do you do for 2 years, right? When you don't have, that same adrenaline rush, and, that's really something that you just need to prepare for, right? It's never as easy as what you see on television.
Yeah, 59 years later.
Talking of burnout, let me tell you a little bit about an extreme example of burnout. And this is one of the audio clips we're going to play now. Gaurav and I talked last week to Vigyan Singhal. He is the founder and chief executive of Oski Technologies. They are one of the largest formal verification companies on the planet. For the hardware types in you, this is the company that does the bug checking on your chip design even before the chip is made. Very high-tech stuff. But he's a serial entrepreneur, and he talked to us about how he struggled through the trough of despair while seeking funding for his third startup. That was a few years ago, called Elastics.
And here's a warning for our guests. Don't try this at home.
I started a company called Elastics. I got money from Spanish VCs based in Madrid. Our engineering team was based in Barcelona in Spain.
I see.
And I was going through a tough time personally because my home is burned down. So we had a house in Fremont, and that was completely burned down on May 11, 2007. So, and that happened like the week I was closing the seed funding for Elastics. And the seed investor backed out. But actually, in hindsight, it worked out very well for us because, a lot of things in our child life changed, got reset because of that. We didn't have a home. Like the whole family moved to India on a short notice because we couldn't find a home. Rebuilt our home basically. And then they went to school there. They got close with grandparents and stuff. And then we moved to Palo Alto, which is a perfect place for my older son because he needed that.
So most of us, fortunately, do not have to go through that drastic trough. The home burning down and family being left with no home to live in. That's a bit drastic, but all of those things, as some smart guy said it, whatever doesn't kill you makes you only stronger.